The half-life of zinc 71 is 2.4 minutes. If you start with 100 grams of zinc, how many grams would be left after 7.2 minutes have passed? We're going to start by setting up our half-life table. We need an amount, a number of half-life, and a time column. The amount column should always divide by 2, because remember, a half-life is the time it takes for half of a substance to decay. So our amount should always divide by 2 as we go down. Our number of half-lives is always going to start at 0, and it's going to count up by 1 all the way down until we get to the end. And then our time column, we're going to add the same amount every time, and that amount that we add is going to be whatever our half-life is. So if we read our question one more time, it says the half-life is 2.4 minutes. So that means our time is always going to start at 0, and one half-life is going to take 2.4 minutes. So I'm going to look at the amount column now. So it says in the question, we're starting with 100 grams. So our starting amount is going to be 100 grams. And like I said, each time we go down a row, we're going to have to divide this number by 2, because that's what a half-life means. So after one half-life, I'm going to have 50 grams. So what this means is one half-life took 2.4 minutes, and I have 50 grams of my substance left. The question wants to know how many grams would be left after 7.2 minutes. So I want to know what number is going to be in this column. How many grams is our amount? We want to know what number is going to be in this column whenever this column reaches 7.2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and fill my table out until I get to that 7.2 minutes. So one half-life is 2.4 minutes. Two half-lives would be this number plus 2.4 more minutes. So that would be 4.8 minutes. And after two half-lives, I would now have 25 grams of my substance left. So dividing by 2 again. We're not yet to that 7.2 minutes, so I'm going to keep going. After a third half-life, I'm going to add 2.4 again, and when I do add 2.4 to that, I'm going to come to 7.2 minutes. Remember, that is what our goal was. So after that 7.2 minutes, it's been 3 half-lives. What amount are we going to have left? We're going to divide this by 2 one more time. So we're going to get 12.5 grams, and that number is our answer. It wants to know how many grams will be left after 7.2 minutes. Well, in our table, 7.2 minutes, we have 12.5 grams left. This question says the half-life of PB100 is 4 days. After 12 days, a sample has been reduced to a mass of 4 grams. What was the starting mass? So this question is asking for a starting mass. So that's telling us that what we're going to have to do is actually work backwards. So let me show you what that's going to look like. So think about the information we know. We know the half-life is 4 days. So we know that one half-life is going to take 4 days. We know that after 12 days, the sample is now to a mass of 4 grams. So I'm going to fill out this part of my table all the way down to 12 days. So 2 half-lives would be 8 days. 3 half-lives would be 12 days. So after 12 days, the sample has been reduced to a mass of 4 grams. So 12 days is going to match up to 4 grams. So what we're actually going to have to do now is work our way back up the table. So remember, going down this column, we have to divide that number by 2 every step. So that means that we had to divide by 2 3 different times to get to 4 grams. So if we're going to work our way back up, we have to do the opposite of dividing. We're going to have to multiply. So before I divided by 2 to get 4, that means I should have had 8 grams before that. So I had to multiply that number by 2 to get there. before 8 grams would have been 16 grams. And before 16 grams, we would have had 32 grams. So before any time had passed, we must have had a starting mass of 32 grams. A really common mistake is mixing up your amount column and your time column, because over here, that number should be increasing all the way down. Add 4, add 4, add 4. One common mistake I see here is trying to multiply that number by 2. So we need to remember that the time column, we're always adding the same amount every time. This isn't going to be 4, 8, 16, okay? Don't get that mixed up with what's going on over here. This number is our amount, and it should be decreasing every time, and that's whenever we divide by 2. The only time we multiply by 2 is if we're working backwards, if we have to start at the bottom and work our way back up.